Number one Ibble Dibble here. Hello, friends. Welcome to the second installment of Megan's Floptastic Flaws, a series in which I enumerate the mindset and circumstances that will prevent Megan from being a successful all-American sociopathic CEO. TLDR, it's her signature mix of high visibility, ugly clothes, and unsavory behavior, of course. But let's talk about it. In the last video, I discussed her low taste level and lack of popularity. If you haven't seen that video, it's up in the cards and in the description box below. In this video, I want to talk about her lack of connections and misguided snobbery. Megan lacks connections. That's something of a setback, but the real problem is her narcissism prevents her from connecting. And that's why she hasn't been able to build the proper support networks, business, social, in the years she's been back in the States, and can't reasonably be expected to do so ever, actually, no matter how much she networks or schmoozes. People in Hollywood have always been hustlers. People in general are far more savvy to emotional manipulations and the psychological disorders or antisocial desires they stem from than they used to be. Basically, Megan brought her checkers to the chessboard. She doesn't want to educate herself and she doesn't want to employ experts. She really thinks she can do this just by grifting tips from successful Hollywood people. I know you know this, but let me elaborate. Do you think Megan's ever heard the words supply chain management? I don't think she has the faintest concept of the huge amount of capital and long lead times that go into design, sourcing, manufacturing, and distribution. And I don't think she wants to learn. But the truth is, entrepreneurship is accountability. Even if she was willing to put in the work, she'd have to have an idea to start with. Is she producing bunion-friendly footwear? Is she calligraphing loving reminders to set your alarm clock and take the dogs out on rolling papers? Has she formulated a 12-shade bronzer palette for other people who feel uncomfortable around women of color? What orchard exactly are her fantasy jams and jellies even coming from? We know that Megan has filed a bajillion trademarks, and I don't think that's necessarily bad because it's good to prevent people from using your brand name in tangential categories. It is more than a bit presumptuous. There's no need to stake it all on one brand. In the social media marketplace of the last 10 and especially 5 years, almost all brands are just trends positioned as either heritage or progressive labels. It's actually easier to turn successive flashes in the pan into gold than to discover a gold mine. Let's take the Kardashians as a working example. I think Megs is trying to infiltrate their circle, sending Doria to charity auctions, probably begging for playdates, because she truly doesn't understand why the Kardashian trash aesthetic is so dominant and everything they do seems to sell well, while $6,000 horse blanket wearing American royalty like herself just can't give it away. And the short answer is they've been trial and error learning for over 20 years now and never staked their success on any one brand. The family has actually launched and closed something like 70 brands. The job of a consumer goods entrepreneur in 2024, anyway, is to ride the flow of bullshit, not perfect any one product or brand. I doubt Kris Jenner would ever spell this out to Megan because there's simply nothing in it for her, which brings me to the next lesson we can learn from Kris. Competent business partners are absolute gold. Most angel investors are control freaks who just want to undercapitalize and then domineer people, especially the ones who target would-be entrepreneurs more socially prominent than they are. It's extremely rare to get a person or family or trust or team with relevant skills, adequate capital, and a reasonably compatible management style. Megan has her priorities flipped. She thinks the permanent, sacred, untouchable element of her business is her image and her brand and her dumb handwriting and her title and the churn it, burn it element of the business are the people who work with her and for her. She doesn't see the problem with bullying her employees to tears. She doesn't see the problem with the high turnover rate of her employees. She didn't see the problem at the palace. She didn't see it at Archwell. According to her, it's not her job to coddle people. Don't get me wrong, I think she's a fool for mistreating her underlings, and I think that if she had been good to them, her whole life, her whole business, her whole brand, her whole image could be a million times better today. But far more dangerous than her being unable to see the people she thinks are beneath her is her being unable to see the people she knows are better than her. In her narcissism, she's made a completely self-sabotaging miscalculation. When she was just a D-list actress, she knew she had to be nice to people and pretend to like them and kiss their ass and give them what they wanted in a quid pro quo to get ahead. Now that she's a royal housewife, she thinks she's on top and everybody else should pander to her. Except she's not a power broker, she's not an ideas person, she's not a connector, and she's running out of money. It's not just that Meghan lacks connections, it's that she thinks she can pay people a standard professional rate for peripheral services and expect them to leverage theirs on her behalf. No. This brand will fail, and probably a few after this will fail. She's going to have a lot of failed brands and hopefully some successful brands that really make up for it. The brands and products and her image promoting them are actually the churn and burn part of the business. The sacred, permanent, untouchable part of the business is the team. When she hired WME, Brad, Ari, Jill Smaller, she thought she would get the best because she paid the most. Problem is, they've been in the game a long time, and companies like WME last a whole lot longer than customers like Meghan. They see right through her, they see what she's doing. They see how she treats the little people she can't get anything out of, or even worse, the way she abuses people because she thinks she can benefit from that abuse. They see that she used to be styled by her best friend, Jessica Mulroney, who she ditched in a publicly humiliating way, tried to style herself, failed miserably, and then eventually hired Jamie Mizrahi. They see how Claire Waite Keller did her wedding dress, but then when she got fired by Givenchy, Meghan ignored her and wore other people for years, trying to merch all kinds of hag bags while Claire struggled, and only finally popped up asking for lunch again once Claire landed Uniqlo. They see how lazy and disrespectful she's been to everybody at Netflix, and how useless and wasteful she was at Spotify. They see that she only hired them after years with Sunshine Sacks, then taking it in-house and trying to do it herself, and everyone leaving her. They see that Meghan is just trying to sponge enough know-how and connections to fire them and try to do it all herself again, or steal their ideas and sell them as her own. She should be asking, begging, for investment, partnership, and guidance from these people. She should be making grand gestures to redeem herself and prove her value as a business partner to these people. Instead, she just treats them like cogs and grease in the Meghan brand machine. When you think about it, it's remarkable how many very prominent, literally game-changing people Meghan has met, socialized with, hired, yet failed to benefit from their acquaintance. Because she was more interested in seeing how many people would bow down to the Duchess than treating them as social equals, business superiors, and important opportunities. When you really think about it, aren't you amazed? There had to be a solid 6 months when they first arrived in Hollywood when they were invited to absolutely fucking everything just for curiosity's sake. They were the new pandas in the zoo. And instead of meeting everyone they could, asking everything they had ever wanted to know, taking everyone's number, following up with everyone, these idiots were turning down Oscars after party invites and client cocktail mixers because they thought they should have been invited to the ceremony, and they thought they were smarter than these people, and they thought they could soak them for more money if they played aloof, discreet, hard to get royals. Meghan loves to try to appeal to the little people by saying she's linked, not ranked, but she's actually not linked, because she doesn't want to link up with anybody beneath her rank, which is everybody according to her egotastic delusions. The irony of this, of course, is that the man who gave her the title was probably excited to go to this stuff and just took her word for it that this was all beneath them. Harry has always really enjoyed meeting new people and socializing with the plebes at nightclubs in Vegas. He loves the attention. The party prince is still somewhere in there deep inside. I wonder if it's really hit home for him yet how much Meghan has isolated him, and that her plan to sell social access to him has backfired miserably. I also wonder about the very successful friends and neighbors who are happy to tell everyone they're such nice people, such a lovely young family, but don't seem to be getting into business with them. If Meghan's substitute parents are Victoria Jackson and Bill Guthrie, why can't she do this? If Harry's substitute parents are David Foster and Catherine McPhee, why can't they do this? Are they actively rejecting mentorship? Have they been politely rebuffed over and over again by their incredibly kind and discreet circle? Or have they just been sitting on their asses, twiddling their thumbs, waiting for capitalism to deliver on Harry's divine right to rule? And now, 4 years later, she's in LA Children's Hospital begging for scraps in 5-year-old Oscar de la Renta separates. Quel dommage. Okay, that's my little rant for the day. See you in part 3. Toodles. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.